Oh my gosh, we got a hot one here. This is going to be a full tutorial on how to remake concept art that's been generated by AI into something that's actually ready to print. So from concept art, from concept to concept art to execution, right? So this is from Kelly. We've got this great idea, that jellyfish have survived without their brains. And that's given us hope for people. So I did this on my phone, which is going to be really low quality, of course, with ChatGPT, just taking her idea and just giving it, very basic prompt. I want it colorful, kind of describe the jellyfish and the wording, So there it is. That's the concept. And so we've come down here, we've created a folder. I actually see I made a little typo on it. So we've named our image from the very beginning, Jellyfish Have Survived Without Brains. And we got our concept art in our folder, and that's the starting point we're at. Okay, so the first thing you want to do with an image like this, or really any image, is come up with a strategy. So let's open it up in Photoshop and start looking at it. So this image, very highly detailed. It's on black. We've got things like these glassy bubbles that are really not going to look good, because you're going to be able to see through them. So really not going to look good on any other color. And then also just like the jellyfish in general, this is designed for black, And so you could decide, and I think I'm going to decide, that the only version of this that we're going to actually have is one that has black. So we're just going to we're going to release this only for darks. It's just designed for darks, the glassy bubbles, and these semi-transparent, jellyfish, with the black coming through it. It's just going to look super weird on a white shirt, So this would work good on a navy or a dark blue, and it would work great on black. So that's decided, and so that's the strategy we're going to have. So we want to make this easier for ChatGPT to clean this up. So it was born from ChatGPT, and it shall return to ChatGPT. So I'm going to start selecting parts of this. And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to pull away the jellyfish from the text, because we've got, those two kind of pieces there. Zoom in here and try to kind of get in between the cracks and crevices. So I'm just selecting the jellyfish, basically, avoiding the text. And I'm doing all the way along this line because this is where it's going to be the most difficult. So I'm just kind of doing the hard part. And then I'm going to come back and zoom out and do the easy part. Boop, boop, boop. So then we just send it in between the lines here. Boop. All right, so all that's selected. Let's try hitting remove and see what it does with that. So we're hoping that Photoshop realizes that it should just make all that black over there. And it didn't, but it's okay. It got things kind of away from the rest of the artwork. So we'll just take this and we will, do that same kind of selection, but just a little bit rougher. A little easier. I have no idea why it created all that over there. Oh, Control Z. We'll hold Shift and keep expanding our selection. And we'll just come back around here. And we're just going to paint black over there so we don't have, so we don't confuse the AI. So we're just going to paint black all over here. And Control D. And then we're going to grab our crop tool and pull this in. And, in general, I definitely want this part up above scooted over. So I'm just going to grab all of this. So I'm going to hold Shift and select more of it after I get this initial selection. So I'm just going to zoom in here, and I'll grab this too, because it'll just be confusing, even though I really don't want it to redraw that part. And I'm going to unlock this layer. I'm going to put a solid color of black. No, I'm going to wait on that. I'm going to go ahead and scoot this over. So I just wanted to move this over. Oh, okay. I'm not sure what's happening here. I'm going to hit Control E. And I'm going to grab my Move tool. And I'm just going to scoot this over so it kind of lines up with that bottom. All right, Control D. Now let's do a solid color of black and pull it behind it. And I really wish I'd kept that selection and straightened things up. We're just going to export this. We're going to let it go. Oh, no, let's give ourselves a little more room. Let's give ourselves a little more room. So let's just come around like this and just give it a little more room so chat doesn't mess this up. So let's export this. And I'm going to put this in our concept. Let's start a new folder. We'll call it Pieces. All right. And we're going to call this Text. All right. And we're always going to stay with PNGs once we've, once we've taken things under our own control here. All right. So now we're going to do ChatGPT, and we're going to use Pro. And there's a bug. I keep checking every day to see if it's fixed, and it's not been fixed. But there is an actual bug, and you have to use 5.4 like you just saw me select at this exact time, 6/21/2026. All right, so let's write a great prompt here. And we're going to think about what we want to say here. Okay, let's take a look at this prompt. I need this typography recreated and redrawn. Enhance every aspect of it. In the final render, I want to keep some of the distress. I want the layout to be tall and skinny like the example. While keeping the distress, I do want it to be cleaned up and sharpened. Ensure the elements are centered and balanced, isolate on black. All right, she probably would have done a lot of that anyway, but why not? Why take risks, right? So we're also going to go ahead and copy this image. We're going to pop over to Gemini. More often than not, I end up with the ChatGPT render, but there are times when Gemini just does a fantastic job. So we're just going to let both of them run. And we'll put this over here, we'll put that over there, and we'll just let these two duke it out here. So here we go. Wow, so here's Gemini's. I actually don't mind it at all. I love how it kind of gave us this splash effect. And I would not like that normally, just because that would make it difficult to cut it off a background. But since we're not cutting off a background, gives help despite. I like that. I like that extra splash. Okay, let's try this. Let's save this. And I'm going to put this back in concept. We'll just click this and we're just going to say text. Save. And I'm going to give this back to ChatGPT. So I love ChatGPT's colors a lot more. Yeah. I'm just gonna go enhance every aspect of it. Ensure the elements are centered and balanced, isolate on black. All right, I'm just gonna let this go. All right. I'm gonna say I need this concept art. All right, isolate on black. Print ready, production quality. Perfect. And then we'll add that photo in. So we're going to go back to our concepts. So yeah, let's just do that. Open. And we'll do create image and we'll let it go. Now while it's thinking, there's no reason to waste time. So we're just going to come back here and we're going to hit F12 to revert. And we're going to select this text. So this time we're going in. We're trying to protect the jellyfish this time. So like following these contours, even just loosely, should help, us understand. Well, us understand. We're helping Adobe Photoshop understand that we're just getting rid of this text. So it's just kind of like drawing around the element, following the shape of it somewhat actually does help. So let's hit remove on that. Oh, you know what we screwed up here? I screwed up. We needed to select the correct model because it's broken, and that happens to me several times a day. So we're just going to paste that back here. We're going to grab that thing right there, and we are just going to choose create image and hit go. And I'm just going to close this one. I'll stop it answering just to save OpenAI server. All right, and it decided to draw us an entirely new jelly. So I guess that's a friend of this other jellyfish. That's fine. We'll do the same thing. We'll just wipe it out. So we'll just take our black and just make it be black. And then we'll just come in on this. So we'll come in over here. And I'm actually going to expand it out. And we'll hit done on that. So I have the wrong background layer for my crop. Let me just, start that over. We'll crop in and come over, and then we'll crop it out. All right, we'll hit OK. And then we're going to export this. And I'm going to put this in the pieces. That's where it belongs. And I'll call this jelly. All right, and we'll go to ChatGPT, and we'll give Gemini a chance too. All right, give Gemini a chance too. So, yeah, gives hope to many people. Yeah, I think this is it. I think this is our final. Look how it's just improved those colors. I'm just going to go ahead and download that. All right, so we're going to put this image up. Here's our jelly. And let's give it a prompt. We're going to go with a pretty simple prompt here. It's just recreate and redraw this concept art, add a few more beautiful glassy bubbles. I need this print ready in production quality. We're going to hit create image, and we're going to let it go. And then we're going to give Gemini a chance too. So let's do that. We're going to go here, Gemini. We'll copy this. We'll copy this. And we'll tell it to create image, just so it doesn't have to think about it. All right. The main lesson or takeaway from this is we're not trying to get ChatGPT or Gemini, either one, to do the whole image. We're trying to get it to help us create the assets. That's what we're doing. We want the assets. And, why? Why do we do that? Well, we're trying to get this, we know it's not going to do a perfect job. And so we're just trying to be able to have some more of these assets. I do not like what it did. So I am going to take this one. It's just better color. I have no idea why it made those. I said something about bubbles and it just went crazy with bubbles. But we're going to combine these assets. I mean, that lets the AI focus on one thing at a time. Text and drawing, two totally different skill sets. So let's let the AI, do its job and do a good job at it. Okay? All right. So now we're into our next piece. So let's find our download. So here's our two pieces. And I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go ahead and move those into my pieces folder and work with it that way. Okay, so I've got both of those renamed. And now I'm just gonna come here, I'm gonna do batch upscale just so I don't have to do each one individually. and I'm going to go into that pieces folder and hit select. I don't know that's all that's in there. And I'm just guessing as to the size. I'm going to go pretty big. Well, 4x is going to be fine. Let's do 4x. So it's going to do the first one, and then it's going to do the next one, and it's going to put them both in a folder here. And one of the reasons I love to use the batch upscale is it actually doesn't rename them. So I can literally just pull them out of here and plop them up here and replace the files and then delete that folder. Just staying organized, keeping things not messy. All right, so let's go back. We're done working with this. We're going to hit F12. Oh, F12. I'm not sure why that's not working. Revert. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to give it some little more room. Just going to come around it. Okay. And then we're going to adjust our image size. So we're just blowing it up, which is going to make it look, be a really bad quality. But it's just to kind of give us an idea for our layout so that we follow that same layout. So I'm going to go 18 inches wide. All right, and then Control 0 lets it fit to the stage. And my final destination size max is going to be 15 inches. So I've got room over here and room over here. I'm going to be just fine. Now I'm going to grab our pieces. I'm working over here off the stage, just pulling in the jelly. Yes. I'm going to look at that against the original for a second. It's not massive, the difference. It's just subtle. It's just done a better job all the way around. And I love that it gave me more of those bubbles because I just loved those bubbles. Kind of got rid of some of those paint splotches and things that really didn't make sense. Like, I don't think we have paint splotches under the sea. And sorry if that just made you all start singing Under the Sea. All right, and then we'll take this in here. And, I just didn't really think about this. Yeah, we're just going to drop this on. I'm going to change the opacity of this layer so I can see what I'm doing. I like that framing. I do want the jelly bigger. I'm going to go something like this. Okay, just a little overlap. I'm going to hit enter on that. I'm going to give myself some more canvas size width. I'm going to give myself an extra 1,000 pixels. I do need to probably take the jelly down a tiny bit. We definitely don't want the jelly off. I do want the bubbles. Alright. And I do want some interaction with the jellyfish. So let's take this. We'll increase that as opacity. I'm going to turn this layer off. And I'm going to put solid black behind everything. So let's just do solid black. Okay. And then this layer, I'm just going to tell it to lighten. And just see how that interacts. Oh my gosh. I'm super happy with that. I don't know about you guys. I love how it's mixing the two images. Just using that lighten. We got bubbles behind, we got bubbles in front. I know I did it, but I think that was like a little stroke of genius to do that lighten. Let's play with the proportions here. We're just going to do a little bit of down. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I think we got this. Okay, so let's start cropping. It's time to save. Let's save this. We're going to save this as jellyfish have survived without brains. Save. And we're going to zoom in on this. Yeah, I don't see anything that's bothering me. I'm real happy with this. And I'm just going to do a crop. So I'm going to come in and crop it. So I just want to get down to like the top of the art. And then over here, I want to get over here. I'm looking at where the edge is there. We don't have to get too tight. But let's go in here like this. And then we're saving everything. And then we'll just come up here to this bottom. Yeah. So we'll call that our crop. And I'm going to export this. I'm going to change, make sure my image size is right now. Okay. I'm going to export this as, I'm going to call this halftone ready. So I'm actually going to put this in the main thing. I'm just going to call it halftone ready. In case we ever need to come back. That's the crop. Okay. Yep. And I'm not going to save this document again. I'm going to go ahead and close out of it. Nope. And I'm going to go back to my folder. There's my halftone ready. And I'm going to open that with Photoshop. And then I'm going to change my size, image size. Let's go 15 inches. So it's 15 by about 14. And we're just going to fire off this black knockout tweakable. Okay, so, this is where, there's the histogram. So if I keep that black there, I'm really making that soft. I'm actually forcing a lot of things. Let me go like 13. And then I've got this. If I keep this on this side of that cliff, then I'm actually preserving a whole lot, okay? So that's where I'm going. I'm going 13 and 90. I'm just going to do 90. We'll do 92. All right, 13 and 92. And we're going to hit OK. And it may be too aggressive. Let's just do a solid color. Let's look at black. It's a little aggressive. I think we need to adjust the left side a little bit. Let's look at it against navy. Let's just try to find a navy color. Let's just try to find like a deep blue. Yeah, the darker the better. Let's look at it on a deep. Yeah, anything down here in the deep range, it's going to look fine. It's just going to like kind of influence the color. All right, let's revert. F12. All right, and then we're going to do black knockout tweakable. I'm going to go 10 on this side. I think I'm just a namby-pamby. I'm going to go 10 over here. And then we decided we were going to go 90. Yeah, I'm going to do 90. Try to save more of that up there. All right. That looks better to me just at first glance. That's what we're going. All right, 10 and 90. 10 and 90, easy to remember too. All right, so now we're just gonna save it off. So we're gonna look at our image size. Oh, we did it way too big, yeah. All right, F12, no problem. We're gonna do image size. We're gonna set this to 15, hit OK. And we're going to do knockout tweakable. We can just type it in, 10 and 90. Okay. And then we can save it off. We don't even have to check it. We know it's good. All right. So we're going to call this half toned, 15. And then I'm going to say Mike RTP. So this can only be printed at 15. And then we'll save that guy. We'll hit F12. We'll do image size. We're going to do 12. Hit OK. We're going to run our little tweak. We're going to do 10 and 90. OK. And then we're going to export that. So we're just doing every single one of them the same. There's my halftone 15. Here's my halftone 12. And then for those that like a little shirt, we'll F12 it. And we'll do our image size. F12 reverts, 10 inch. And then we're going to do black knockout tweakable. And we're going to do 10 and 90. Okay. And then we'll export that. And we're just going to set there. And we'll put this to 10. And it's done. Hey, thanks for watching this tutorial. I hope this taught you some things, helped you in some way. Thanks for ordering your transfers from crystaldtf.com that makes this kind of education available to the public and makes it possible for me to keep making these videos. Have a great day, and it's Father's Day, so if you're watching this today on June 21st, 2026, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. Y'all have a great time. Take care.